Good morning. I just wanted to give an update. I know I have campaigned hard on the learning loss portion of, why I'm running, what my passion is, and one of the major things is certainly the learning loss, and it's because of my personal experience with my son. Since the shutdowns, we thought we did really everything we could. My co-parent and I, we were still married at the time, and we were both essential, having to work. My daughter couldn't stand dealing with my son wanting to, distract her all the time, and then distracting himself doing the virtual learning. And, so what we ended up doing was putting him in daycare. Tots and Blocks actually had offered a program, and the governor at the time had offered a grant for virtual hand-over-hand learning. It was a little frustrating that we had to go to a daycare to do that. I couldn't just do that at the school, but that's what we did. We thought that was going to really benefit our son, to get really the hands-on, the more personal part of the learning experience when the schools were shut down, or even when they were hybrid. So that being said, they did tell us that they didn't do the standardized testing in 2020 and 2021. Last week, the committee meeting for the curriculum was so informative. It was very informative, but also upsetting for me, because I'm like, well, what about my guy? I've been asking about my guy for 2 years. And so I took a lot of that, and I emailed Mr. Cittadino the next day, and I said, I told him, Mr. Cittadino, I've seen the standardized test scores come home, the IXL report saying Ryan's behind, by 2 grades. What's going on here? I had mentioned it to both of his teachers. I had mentioned it to the assistant superintendent. I had mentioned it to the head of special ed. What else could I possibly do? I mean, great, we found out about these programs and tutoring things for elementary school. It doesn't really help me now in middle school. A lot of the data has shown that there's so much improvement. And again, we live in Old Bridge for this reason, is the wonderful schooling and education system, especially that the Board of Ed is trying to preserve, all the important components about the overall experience, quality of life for our children. So I don't want to take that part away, but I still, as a mother, felt very helpless in a circumstance where I was going to several people for support, and I just couldn't get what I need. People have mentioned the RTI program. That's wonderful, but I can't force people to do something for my son, without their consent. So I did email Mr. Cittadino following that curriculum meeting again, and it was so informative. But I was like, what about us, And so he immediately got me in touch with Dr. Calandria, and we had a wonderful meeting this morning. My co-parent, guidance counselor, the RTI leader in our school, as well as my son's ELA and math teacher. So it does turn out that the ELA teacher says his IXL scores are still below average. Thankfully, his math is caught up, and I did feel comfort in that too, as that Mr. Cittadino said. That's why he's been implementing the block scheduling, is to help these kids catch up as well. So Ryan seems to be in good shape with the math. It is still the ELA, and we were able to talk about common concerns about my son. The ELA teacher was so informative and just so open to, she was asking the things that he's into so that she can get him more engaged as far as his lead, what he's going to be reading about, to make it more exciting for him and to get more structure, way of preparing for tests and assignments, and just getting motivated and getting organized. And there's a wonderful goal that we're looking ahead. So he's going to be tier 2 RTI, and so we're hoping to move on in 6 weeks. We'll see how it goes. But it was so positive. I'm so thankful. I did ask Dr. Calandria what happens to other parents like me, because this is a conversation I've had with several parents, including the parents that were at the last curriculum meeting before with me, asking these questions and having these frustrations, about the learning loss. She said that, you can either go to the district website and apply for the RTI assistance, or you can email her directly, and that's Dr. Calandria. So I didn't want to say anything without asking, and that was with her blessing. So I'm going to leave her email in this post, but I just wanted to share this with anybody that's experiencing the same thing as me and other parents. Yes, they did do a lot to help with the learning loss with the majority of our students, but there's some of us that somehow just, ended up in this circumstance, and it doesn't make any sense to live in the past. I'm just grateful that we're moving, and we're moving aggressively, swiftly, and early enough that my son shouldn't be too heavily impacted, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that Mr. Cittadino made this happen for me very quickly. It was only a few days ago I emailed and produced a meeting, this morning. I'm just getting to work now, and I just wanted to update everybody on that part. Just because, again, I said I was going to give him the opportunity to do the right thing, and everybody did. And it turns out, his ELA teacher was already going to be contacting me. So that's all. I'm going to share that piece of information. And again, I always encourage, I told Dr. Calandria too, please email the bridge, the teacher that leads that, which is Scott, to be sharing a lot of this information on there, just because a lot of times it can be a little overwhelming looking at the district website or not knowing where to start or who to email, who to contact, and who's going to be the right person that's going to tackle whatever it is your concerns or needs are. Have a wonderful day.